On October 16th, 1957, 23-year-old Antonio Villas-Boas was working on his family farm in Brazil. He claimed he saw a large egg-shaped craft with a cupola on top containing a rotating red light in the sky that began to descend and approach his location. The craft landed near him by extending 3 legs, after which several 5-foot-tall beings disembarked. Antonio tried to escape on his tractor, but the engine had died, and he continued trying to escape by running. He was eventually captured by these beings, who wore gray overalls and helmets. He was taken aboard their ship, whereupon they took their helmets off. They had small, blue eyes and communicated via a series of small animal-like grunts. Once aboard the ship, Antonio was stripped naked and covered in gel. The alien beings' claim was to disinfect him. He was led into a large semicircular room through a doorway adorned with red symbols. Antonio was later able to recall these symbols with perfect clarity. The beings then took blood samples from his chin before moving him to a third room where he was left alone for approximately 30 minutes. A clear gas was pumped into the room, which made Antonio feel nauseated. After this bout of nausea had abated, the doors to the room opened and a naked female alien of the same species joined him. Antonio recalled that she was very attractive, with platinum blonde hair and red pubic hair. She had a pointed chin and large cat-like eyes. Antonio felt a powerful attraction to this woman, and they engaged in intercourse, wherein instead of kissing him, she nipped him on the chin. After the sexual act, the woman smiled, patted her belly, and pointed upwards before leaving. Antonio was given back his clothes and shown around the ship before being escorted off. When Antonio got home, he realized 4 hours had passed. A medical examination after Antonio made these claims showed that he was suffering from a mild case of radiation sickness, which couldn't be explained away. The documentary you're about to review is based on Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, with female abductees claiming similar reproductive testing and hybrid births.
Vanhemman poikani syntymäpäivän aamuna näin erittäin merkillisen unen. Unessa oli naispuolisen humanoidin kanssa synnytysvastaanottohuoneessa. Hän kehotti minua asettumaan sängylle pitkäkseni ja otti esiin injektioruiskun, jolla hän pisti minua vasempaan olkavarteen. Tämä teki kovasti kipeää ja tunsin kivun uneni lävitse. Sen jälkeen hän asettui pitkälleen minun vartaloani myöten sängylle ja sanoi, en jätä hetkeksikään sinua. Kun heräsin, olivat polttoni alkaneet. Jokunen tunti synnytyksen jälkeen, kellon ollessa noin 11 illalla, menin sairaalan tupakkahuoneeseen tupakalle. Tupakkahuoneen ikkunasta näin myös jotain outoa. Naisten klinikan piha oli hyvin valaistu ja oli kirkas kuutamo, ja tässä kuutamon valossa näin, kuinka lastenhuoneen vieressä seisovan jalopuusen latvassa istui noin metrin pituinen pöllö. Pöllö katsoi vuoron lastenhuoneen ikkunasta sisään ja vuoron tupakkahuoneen ikkunaan. Minulla oli hyvin vahva tunne, että minua tarkkaillaan ja minun poikani tarkkaillaan.
In the early 1990s, an extensive study was conducted in the United States into the frequency of abductions. Its findings came as a surprise to all. More than 2% of the whole population, at least 5 million people, were found to have had such an experience. Often the abductions had started in early childhood and continued periodically for several decades. Sometimes the abducted suffer from loss of memory concerning their experiences. In such cases, hypnosis and psychotherapy can be used to help them remember. Information received under hypnosis is not, however, any more reliable than normal recall.
Mä näen jotain pyöreätä ja valkoista.
Minkä kokoinen se on?
Se on iso. Mä olen siellä sisällä.
Katso, miten sinä olet joutunut sinne. Näetkö, miten sinua viedään?
Tiedän, mä huudan. Mutta ei mitään ääntä tule.
Ääntä ei tule. Kuka sinua vie sinne?
Niitä on paljon.
Ai, niitä on paljon. Kerro tarkasti, millaisia he ovat.
En mä oo katsoa.
Katso, se on filmi, niin kuin videokuva. Et sinä ole siellä itse. Sä näet kuvan.
Mutta niin sydämestä.
Nyt olet suojassa täällä. Se ei ole... Sinä näet sellaisen kuvan vaan siellä. Ja voit kertoa siitä.
Ne on pieniä.
Enempi kuin sinä.
Ihan oikea. Nyt on paljon niitä pieniä poikia.
Ja näköisiä he ovat.
Yleisenkin ruipeloita. Ne on pitkät kädet. Ne vaan seisoo ja katsoo mua.
Millainen asu heillä on?
Ei niillä ole vaatteita.
Ei ne ole vaatteita.
Sillä yhdellä on.
Onko se sama kokoinen?
Ei kun se on niistä kaikkein isoin.
Onko hän isompi kuin sinä tai minkä kokoinen?
Samaa isompi vähän. Sillä on valkoinen takki.
Jonkun päällä vai missä sinä makaat?
Makaan
Hoitopöydällä. Oletko sidottu? Et. Kerro lisää.
Mä en pysty liikkumaan.
Et sinä pysty enää liikkumaan. Katso nyt mitä he tekevät.
Seisoo siinä. Ne on siinä niin kuin sen takia, että ne pitää kiinni, jos mä liikun. Ja ne tutkii jo.
Kuka tutkii?
Se valkotakki. Se laittaa mulle jotain sisään.
Laittaa sinulle sisään jotain. Minkälaisessa asennossa sinä olet?
Mä oon selällä.
Kerro lisää.
Kun se laittaa sitten sen esineen sisään, niin se sanoo mulle, että mulla syntyy poika.
Kysy siltä, että kuinka sinut on hedelmöitetty sitä poikaa saamaan.
Se on laitettu keinotekoisesti niin.
Se on laitettu keinotekoisesti sinuun. Mutta mistä se solu on alkuaan otettu, kun se ei ole sinusta? Kysy se häneltä.
Se on heidän omiaan.
Se on heidän omiaan.
Mä oon puhunut 4 vuotta.
Että he ovat 4. ulottuvuudesta. Jaha, jostakin sellaisesta, jota me emme tässä pääse tavoittamaan. Olivatko ne koko ajan näitä pieniä harmaita poikia, jotka olivat siinä? Vai kuka sinua operoi?
No, se valkotakkinen.
Se valkotakki.
Se oli mulle vihainen.
Mistä hän oli vihainen sinulle?
kun mä puhuin koko ajan. Ja heräsin monta kertaa.
Heräsit monta kertaa. Oliko hän sukupuoliyhteydessä sinuun? Ei.
Hän katsoi korvia.
Hän katsoi korvia.
Ja sanoi, että toinen on operoitu jo. Että mun pitää nukkua, että hän saa sen toisenkin korvan operoitua. Ja sitten sen nenän katsoi semmoinen pieni poika, joka oli kirkas.
Kirkas? Siis oliko hänellä sellainen kiiltävä asu? Vai millä tavalla?
Niin, se on semmoinen valkoisen hohtava iho. Hyvin hohtava iho.
Oliko se ihokin myös tällainen, ettei se ollut vaan se vaate, joka hänessä oli?
Ei hänen pääkin ole ihan hohtava.
Katsoppa eteenpäin, mitä sinulle sen jälkeen on tehty. Ovatko sen jälkeen käyneet?
Olemme käynyt. Mä oon käynyt antamassa virtaa.
Many critics believe that stories of abduction produced under hypnosis are mere fantasy developed in the subconscious mind. What really happens during hypnotic regression?
Hypnoosi on aivan mekaaninen järjestelmä ihmisen ajatustoiminnan ohjaamiseksi. Hypnoosissa päivätajunta johdetaan pois tarkkailusta ja tähän päivätajunnan erottamiseen löytyy meillä hyvin monia keinoja. Sanallinen äänen tuonti korvan kautta on yksi sellainen. Me kykenemme valoilla silmän kautta tuomaan vastaavan impulssin. Niin me voimme sen tehdä myös koskettamalla, puhumatta sanaakaan. Saamme hypnoosin aikaan ilman mitään posthypnoottista regressiota. Ja jos lähetin hypnotisoija on vahva, niin mediaalisen yksilön pystyy hypnotisoimaan hänen tietämättään pelkällä telepatiaimpulssilla. Ja tämän lisäksi on tietysti niitä hypnotisointikeinoja, joita avaruusohjelmat käyttävät. Ja me olemme niistä UFO-asioiden yhteydessä saaneet raportteja aivan yltä kyllin.
Every third or fourth abduction takes place while the victim is conscious, and therefore their study needs no hypnosis. An abducted woman whose pregnancy is started through artificial insemination may later experience a new abduction, during which her fetus is moved to a special incubator where its development continues. The American Betty Andreasson is one of the best-known abductees. During her abduction, a group of small creatures forced their way into her bedroom one evening and took her and her family for examination inside a waiting UFO. A group abduction can also take place with all members of the group fully conscious.
Tammikuun 24. päivä 1992 kello 11 illalla, kun lähdimme jäähyväispartista pois autolla, jossa kutsuilla kaikki ihmiset olivat pukeutuneet avaruusolennoiksi, eeteiksi. Yhtäkkiä huomasimme suuren keltaisen tähden automme yläpuolella. Ja minä kommentoin, että se ei ole mikään tavallinen tähti, vaan se on UFO. Se lähti seuraamaan meitä ja kun olimme ajaneet kohti Geneven keskustaa, niin Gatin kohdalla tullessamme kohti pientä siltaa yhtäkkiä jotakin tapahtui. Me emme kukaan tajunneet ensin mitä tapahtui, mutta koko kaupunki hävisi, asunnot, rakennukset, kaikki koirat, autot, liikenne vain häivähti. Ja sen jälkeen meitä kiidätettiin hirvittävällä vauhdilta kohti, kuten myöhemmin kävi ilmi, Ranskan rajaa. Kulimme ilman läpi muutamassa minuutissa, aikaa on vaikea arvioida, ja yhtäkkiä jysähdimme takaisin. Ja tämän jysähdyksen seurauksena huomasimme olevan Ranskan rajalla, jonne ei millään tavalla olisi voitu ajaa sillä tavalla kuin me sen olimme tehneet. Ja olimme samanlaisessa tilanteessa tulossa risteytykseen. Ja kun ihmettelimme, mitä oikeastaan oli tapahtunut, niin totesimme lopulta, että meidät oli yksinkertaisesti nostettu UFOon ja heitetty kaupungin laidalta toiselle puolelle. Ja tämä tulkittiin sitten itse asiassa kiitokseksi ja jäähyväiseksi, eli bon voyage Genève.
In a short time, UFO abductions have become a burning issue in the United States, as it's become evident that the number of possible abductions runs into millions. This has resulted in the establishment of parapsychology units within universities for the analysis of such experiences. Over the past 20 years, Robin Quayle has examined more than 16,000 people, 600 of whom have experienced an abduction. Sometimes a contact with an extraterrestrial has led to the cure of a serious illness.
One interesting case that I have been investigating is a case near Atlanta, Georgia, where over 150 people in a large telecommunications company had 2 hours of missing time. There was physical evidence present. There were 5 large burned circles left on the grass surrounding this suburban facility, which had a great deal of wooded areas behind it. The entire computer system was down for 2 hours. The phones were down for 2 hours. The main power cable had melted completely for over 4 feet. This facility is engineered to withstand even a nuclear attack. But the battery backup system melted, and the diesel system to back this system up also failed. So there were 3 systems that failed. One man was trapped inside a lead line room where a lot of the main power sources are kept, and he could not get out because the electric doors would not function. 3:30, there was to be a shift change, and yet the people who were to leave at 3:30 found themselves still in the building at 5, and the people who were supposed to come to work at 3:30 found themselves still in their parking lot in their cars at 5 o'clock. It was a highly secured facility. People had to use a card system to get in and out of the doors, so there was like mass confusion. This was over. The security guards reported that people had been seen being taken out of the building by aliens and that they saw spaceships. The security cameras on the outside of the building did function because they were operated on batteries. This case is still under investigation. The 2 clients have been regressed and worked with and remembered being taken out of the building by small gray aliens with large black oval eyes. And another man who was there also has experienced many out-of-body experiences at work after this. This facility was closed down shortly after this happened, and all the employees moved to other locations. Most were moved out of state. There was sort of a big cover or lid put on this at work, so it was very difficult to pursue an investigation at this company.
One of the most interesting abduction cases is that of the American Lee Haley, who has 2 university degrees, one of them in pedagogics. She worked as a university lecturer until she was dismissed because of her UFO contacts. She's written a book about her experiences entitled Lost Was the Key, in which a special strange feature are officials wearing military uniforms.
I've had experiences with many different types of alien creatures, going all the way back to my childhood. One of the main ones I've encountered is what I call a chalky colored creature, in that it's the color of off-white chalk, an off-white color. It's about 4 to 5 feet tall. It doesn't have any hair. It has huge black eyes, no pupils, no whites, no ears, no hair. All of the creatures look alike. I can't tell whether each one is a male or a female. They all look identical. These creatures have taken me aboard the craft. The method they use to get me aboard their craft is some kind of light, like a beam of light. And I find myself in this energy force that looks like a light field, and the next thing I know, I'm aboard their craft. These creatures perform medical experiments on me. They are extracting ova from me. They scrape tissue samples. They seem to be making a hybrid race. I've also seen aboard their craft the products of what they're doing with their genetic experimentation. I've seen fetuses lying suspended in transparent containers, and the containers are also suspended. I've seen nothing holding them up. Inside the containers lies a little hybrid-looking baby that looks part human, part alien.
One of the really interesting and also very weird aspects of the abduction phenomena is the pregnancies and the subsequent removal of the fetuses. It's almost unbelievable, and yet there seems to be even medical proof that this has occurred in many cases. I have worked with quite a few people who have had this. It seems that people are abducted, artificially impregnated, and then about 3 months into the pregnancy, they are abducted again and the fetus is removed. I wanted to tell about one interesting case where there was a pregnancy involved, where there seemed to be government involvement with the aliens. Now, this young woman was on a military base and was in the Army in the West, here in the United States. She was drugged by the military people under the pretense of having given blood. She was actually almost forced to give blood. And instead of giving blood, they actually drugged her because the needle was put in the back of her hand, which information she uncovered in the actual regression. She was taken down in an elevator to a very deep base beneath the military base, a large freight elevator. She was taken on a gurney by military hospital personnel who took her down. Then she found herself in a room in this deep underground place, surrounded by small gray aliens. She was lying on a table without any clothes on, and the military people who had taken her down were standing against the wall watching the whole procedure. The aliens took the fetus from her body. And this is a woman who stated that she was not having any kind of sexual activity at all. After the fetus retrieval, she found herself in a different room, still underground, with a very blazing white light shining directly down in her face, a very loud, discordant noise going on in the room, and a human man leaning over her face, screaming that she was going to die. Now, this is standard brainwashing techniques. She worked in the blood lab and in the morgue at the hospital there. What is the meaning of these military, or what appears to be military people, being seen on these ships? I mean, Leah Haley has had this type of involvement. Is the government, in fact, assisting and working with the aliens on some project?
For the last couple of years, I've also been receiving telepathic communication from some external source. I don't know where the telepathic messages are coming from, but I've been receiving many of these telepathic communications since May of 1991. And here are some examples of what I've been told telepathically. I have been taught that time is not linear. The message I received was that time is no more linear than the earth is flat, that time can overlap, that time can be contracted, expanded, that there's more than one dimension that can overlap. And actually, time in the way that we use it is non-existent. I was told that it's really space that's important, not time. I was told that all kinds of geological problems are going to occur all over the world. Things such as earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, all sorts of things of that nature, and that it's going to be quite serious. I was not given a time frame other than I was told it was going to happen soon, but of course I don't know what soon means. I was shown a vision in my mind of everything on earth being brown. Brown sky, brown water, brown dead trees, brown vegetation that was dead, and was given a vision of a family crawling on their hands and knees after some sort of horrible destruction occurred, and I could tell that the family was dying. They were trying to get to the water, which was very brown, but I knew that if they ever made it to the water, once they drank it, they would die anyway. I knew that this family was doomed. That vision was very upsetting to me. I don't know what it means, other than I felt that it has something to do with some sort of disaster that's going to occur. I believe that that's why I was shown that vision.
One of the best-known examples of abductees who have suffered a terminated pregnancy during their abduction is the American Kathy Davis, whose contacts with extraterrestrials started in early childhood and continued until very recently. They drove her to the verge of suicide, but with the help of a hypnotherapist, she overcame her problems.
I've had many experiences with some life form other than human in my life since I was 5, all the way up until just recently, within a month ago. Most of the time, these beings that I have seen, had the experiences with, are about 4 feet tall, 4.5 feet tall, kind of grayish looking, large heads, really black eyes that kind of look through you rather than just looking at you. I'm pretty sure that it was September 23rd, 1993. I was watching TV and a bright flashing light caught my eye out the front door. We all ran out to look at it, and it was tremendous white light with multitudes of sparkling color in it. And it got very bright and large, and then it got very small and tiny to a pinpoint, and then it kept doing that, getting bigger and littler as it was moving down to the tree line and back and forth across the trees. And at that same time, while we were out in the road, we saw something walking towards us in the road. And we also heard a beeping sound. We have about 15, maybe 10 to 15 minutes of missing time that night. And I had a tumor that had been photographed on an ultrasound machine in my uterus. And then we had this experience, and then when I had the surgery to remove the tumor and have the hysterectomy, the tumor was gone. I had bleeding in the uterine wall, but the tumor was gone. So I tend to feel that something happened that night to remove that tumor. Perhaps it wasn't a tumor. Maybe it was a fetus. I don't know. I had a missing pregnancy that has left a lot of unanswered questions in my life. I've had some memories of that pregnancy. That child was a girl. I remembered seeing her later in life, as an older child, one time, and she was accompanied by those gray beings. I'm not really sure why they've been having contact with me. I don't know why they've been abducting me, other than perhaps because they took my mother at some point before I was born, and they're following genetic lines.
With regard to human women losing babies at 3 to 4 months of pregnancy, we do have those cases here also. And I have investigated 3 such cases myself. In the 3 cases that I looked at, all three of the women seem to have become pregnant unexpectedly, and in 2 cases they were led by some process. They were unreceptive to advances, and then they became pregnant without the presence of a husband or a boyfriend. In both cases, they had dreams of being abducted aboard a spacecraft and being artificially impregnated. And in both cases, the babies were taken at about the 3rd month, and they were taken in such a way that the mother was pregnant up to that time and certified so by the doctors, and then she lost the baby overnight without a great loss of blood, woke up the next morning and suddenly she is not pregnant. She goes back to the doctor and the doctor says, we don't know what happened to the fetus. In both cases that I make reference to, there were 2 being types, creature types aboard the craft. There were beings, humans like us, and other smaller beings that would be one of the gray species, commonly called grays. The grays seem to be the ones doing the technical work, and the humans seem to be supervising the operation. We don't know whether it's an experiment in manipulating genetics, in cross-hybridizing species, or what. In one of those cases, the mother was later shown a crossbreed child that was quite different from us, but nothing like the alien hybrids seen aboard the spacecraft. Well, what's the meaning of all this? And why do UFOs approach mankind at all? It appears in the course of investigating over 100 cases in great detail that the extraterrestrials find Earth a very attractive place to visit. Where dialogue has taken place, the comment is frequently made that this is a wonderful laboratory to study life in evolution. They say that this planet has a greater variety of species in all classes and kinds and types than any other planet they visit. They say that this planet also has peculiarly short lifespans for all living creatures. And they suggest that this may be produced by the cosmic rays or rays coming from a particularly harsh sun that came through when the Earth lost its protective envelope, and the creatures on the surface were able to see the sun and the stars for the first time. And this was after the mythical flood in all of the legends of the planet.